Can you hear me? Okay. Well, I was just thanking the previous speakers for all the advice and all the insights shared with us. We will now have a second roundtable dedicated to the Road to Bio Europe Spring 2026. As I already said before, PBio together with the BioMeet Park and CoLAB AccelBio have been working directly with the organization of Bio Europe Spring to bring the event to Portugal and to have it here in Lisbon in 2026. So we invited Bárbara Gomes from CoLAB AccelBio, which is also a member of the regional host committee that we informally created for this endeavor. Bárbara will be moderating this session, and we invited Claire Macht, from Director of European Portfolio from EBD Group. Claire, I cannot see you, but you're here. Okay. So Claire is representing the organization of the event. And we also invited João Norte, VP Corporate Affairs and Market Access from BIAL, Ricardo Henriques, Managing Partner from Biovance Capital, Bruno Santos, CEO from IMMUNETHEP, and Emmanuel Besserve, co-founder, VP Sales and Marketing from Magma Science. Thank you very much for being here.
Good afternoon. So before we start, just let me acknowledge each person in this room that in one way or another contributed to the growth of the Portuguese biotech ecosystem. It's because of you that we are having this discussion today, and it's because of your hard work that we will have Bio Europe Spring next year in Lisbon. Having said that, I want to also thank you for your presence here today. Philippe already presented our panelists, and I will like to start by giving you, Claire, the floor to give an overview of Bio Europe Spring before we dive into our discussion.
Thank you very much, Bárbara. And I would like to say before I start that we're delighted to be coming to Lisbon next year, but I would like to thank Joanna, Philippa, and Bárbara. It has been a long road to bring Bio Europe Spring to Lisbon. Discussions started, I think, a decade ago, maybe, a long time ago. And it is through the hard work, especially of these three women, that Bio Europe Spring is coming to Lisbon next year. So I would like to say thank you very much to all three of you. And I'm going to steal a metaphor, I guess, from shared by Neelam in the previous panel about things working really well is about decreasing friction and increasing collision. And creating interventions where this happens. And this is what we always aim to do with Bio Europe Spring. Bio Europe Spring is started in 2007. Oddly enough, the same year I joined EBD Group. And it's now grown to an event where over 3,500 attendees come together. For next year, we'll be aiming to better that by at least surpassing the 3,600 number. We have over 60 countries in attendance, and we've had over 19,000 one-to-one meetings. In 2026, we will be aiming to surpass the 20,000 mark for the first time. And the one-to-one meetings are why Bio Europe Spring happens. Most of the people in attendance are there. Yes, they'll sit in the panels and participate there. They will join the company presentations and hear about some of the newest developments in biotechnology. But really, most of them are there for the one-to-one meetings to be able to meet people that will move their business forward, whether that's through the clinic, whether that's through commercialization, whether it's through in and out licensing. Numerous reasons why a biotechnology company needs to collaborate are supported with the one-to-one meetings that happen at BioEurope Spring. So meeting is the number one thing that happens at BioEurope Spring. We have our Partnering One system that supports that, and hopefully decreasing the friction that usually arises when you're trying to get a lot of meetings happening every half hour over 3 days. We also have tracks of company presentations. These are divided into therapeutic areas, as well as special tracks for next generation companies, so younger companies, and a startup competition, our startup spotlight competition, which we've been doing for over 10 years now. This is all supported by an exhibit, which is really the marketplace of the conference. In between your meetings, in between your panels, during lunch, and also on Monday evening when we have the exhibit hall reception. The marketplace is the showcase of the event, and it provides yet another space for people to interact and to connect with each other. And then, of course, we also have the added benefits of those companies who sponsor the event, who gain extra visibility through having their logo in many, many places, but also being able to showcase what they're doing through a variety of media channels and the like. Just to give a description of who attends, what that audience looks like, and who you can potentially meet there. This gives a breakdown of the key industries. Over 50% of the attendees at BioEurope Spring every year. And I will say, while this is taken from the 2024-25 data, this does actually remain quite stable over the different editions. Over 50% of the audience is biotech and pharma. And this is our key group of attendees, not just in number, but they are the group for whom most of the programming is focused on, and that people are going to be interested in speaking with. Of course, we do have especially R&D service companies, as well as a good number of nonprofit organizations, academia, and investors. Maybe one thing to clarify from the outset, BioEurope Spring is not an investment conference. Investors are there. It's a section of what goes on at the event, certainly, but it is first and foremost a partnering event. And this is specifically because of the biotech business development timeline and how biotech companies work. There's very few companies that can get a product to market on their own, under their own steam. Almost every company is going to need to collaborate at some point with someone else in this value chain. And I'm hoping that the gentlemen on the panel will be backing me up on that with their own experience. The other element at BioEurope Spring that is worth highlighting is that 70% of the attendees are from top or senior management. We really work hard to get the decision makers from companies in the one-to-one meetings, on the exhibit floor, and on the panels. While people are having one-to-one meetings with people that they have just met, they're also having one-to-one meetings with people that they already know, moving that relationship forward to the next stage. It's very much how we've worked with Joanna, Philippa, and Bárbara over the last years. I think we've met all three of them at almost every recent BioEurope and BioEurope Spring conference. And many of the biotech companies are doing the same. Also for young companies, especially, you'll often hear on panel sessions, it is never too early to reach out and start talking to people you know you're going to need to work with. Even if you do not have a product ready to partner now, you're aiming to in the future, I hope. And now is the time to start talking to potential partners that you may want to actually be doing business with in the future. And then the final thing I'd like to highlight is the geographic diversity that is at BioEurope Spring. And this is really what we're hoping to achieve by bringing it to Lisbon. We want to bring the entire biotech community, the global biotech community, to Lisbon to see the innovation that is happening in Portugal. I think my final slide is just some images from the last couple of conferences to give you an idea of the things that happen, both in terms of program, but also hopefully the more casual interactions that happen as well. We really strive to, not just within the structure of the one-to-one meetings, but for every element of the conference to be connecting people. Decreasing the friction, increasing the potential for hopefully non-injurious collision, but certainly connection and collaboration.
Thank you, Claire. I like the increased collision expression. So now that we all know what is BioEurope Spring, let's start our discussion. And I would like to start with João. João, from BIAL's perspective as a pharma company, why this event is so relevant and what you are looking for when you attend an event like BioEurope Spring?
Thank you. Is it working? Yeah. Thank you. So thank you for the invitation and for opportunity to be here. I think Claire almost answered to everything. But giving our case, so we are a pharmaceutical company driven by research and development. And if we are potentially big in Portugal, we are not a big company in the biotech world. So for us, it's critical to be there to meet and to find partners for every step of our activities. From the early development to the clinical research, or then afterwards for finding partners to put our product in the market everywhere. We do not have a footprint beside Europe, so for us it's always important to be there to meet people, and as Claire was saying, to keep repeating the contacts year after year. I would say that also from another perspective, as we also want to partner our research, right? So we know that we need to de-risk our research, and we do not have the resources to invest in many projects. So we want to partner in our research projects early as possible. And I think this conference is also an opportunity for external validation of what we are doing, right? So for the level of interesting that we are getting from potential partners, it also shows, or it also works as an external validation of what we are doing as a research organization. So I think that's mostly the reason why we are keep attending, and that we are also supporting the conference to be in Lisbon next year.
Thank you, a support that we really appreciate, because we need BIAL and other companies like BIAL to support these kind of activities. So just to make sure that we don't forget the key points that you mentioned. So it's an event that can cover all the stages of drug discovery, and an event that can leverage and can validate what you do due to the excellence of the attendees. So now I will turn to Ricardo, a different perspective, an investor perspective. Ricardo, what makes Bio different from the other events? And I also would like to ask you, for the startups that are in the audience, what investors want to hear, and if you can share some practical tips for the startups.
Of course, we'll do. It's working. Yeah, so for us as European investors, BioEurope is a place to meet new startups, of course. You know, some of them we meet by video conference, so it's always good to finally meet them in person. Continue conversations with our friends, investors, it's a good occasion to do that. Also pharma, you know, understand what pharma is looking for. because when we invest in startups, of course, is to sell them later to big pharma, so we need to know what they are interested on. So it's a very productive event. We usually attend the fall and the spring ones. Tips for startups. Okay, so you know, first do your homework. You know, before meeting an investor, really go to their webpage, see what is their investment strategy. You know, how old are their funds? You know, if they raise fresh funds, the probability of investing is much higher, right? Because they have money to deploy. And so those should be high in your score. But definitely approach the ones that make sense for our company. You know, it doesn't make sense to try to meet with everyone, because not everyone will be interested in your company. So be very specific on the kind of investors you want to meet. And then, you know, during the meeting, I would say don't overwhelm the investor with data. You know, sometimes, you know, we are scientists, most of us, so we want to show everything we have, but don't just do data dump on your slides. You know, 10, 15 slides is okay, just with your team, main results. You know, because the goal of the meeting is to not get the check immediately, right? You want to have a later meeting with your team and their team, you know, so go slowly, get their interest. But go prepared, you know, check the LinkedIn of the people they're going to meet. You know, are they scientists? Are they journalists? Because that changes a lot the way you present your company as well. See if you have any warm connections that can provide a warm intro to them. You know, these kind of things, you know, and soft skills, of course. You know, always invest in our soft skills. Negotiation skills, presentation skills, you know, it will never end. So you have, because the competition is enormous, right? As we were seeing, the numbers are humongous, right? So as a small startup from Portugal, it's always tough. You know, it's possible, but it's tough. So you really have to, you know, do your best. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So be wise when choosing investors and be prepared. So we heard about BIAL, about an investor, Biovance. One thing is to attend. I think another thing is to stand out. So I would like to move to Bruno. Bruno, you already participated in other editions as CEO of IMMUNETHEP. Can you share a little bit of your experience and also share some good practices with other Portuguese biotechs that want to participate in the next edition of BioEurope Spring?
Yeah, thank you, Bárbara. I think between all of them, most of the things were already said, but preparation is key. I think this, what Ricardo was mentioning, is what is most important. If you want to go to an event like this, you need to first to define what you want to get out of it. So are you going to try to fundraise? Okay, let's look for Ricardo and the other investors. If you want to partner, who is the companies that make sense to partner with? Is it with BIAL? Is it with other types of companies? So you need to do your homework. So that's the key. And of course, partnerships is the most important. The meetings are the most important, but the two kinds of meetings. So as Claire mentioned, the one-to-ones are very important, but the late events are as important or more important than those ones. And together, probably you get to know the people, and then you get to be with them in a more relaxed way. It's completely different when you have a human-to-human relationship instead of a human to teams or other things. So it changes a lot and reduces the friction for sure to get to know people in this detail. But the preparation is key, and focusing on the one-to-one meetings, if you see the amount of slots that you are available to have, you say, okay, I'll get these 60 meetings, it will be great. But that's crazy, so no one can have all of those meetings and be fresh and focused and passing the right information in such a large amount of meetings. So even there, you'll be flooded by some of the biotech R&D services, and if you need them, that's great. But you need to see, okay, what do I want to take out of this? So some of them make sense, some don't. Be very criterious on selecting with which people are you going to meet. And in the end, during the event, you can enjoy and present your startup. That's what you like, that's what you want to do, and take advantage of all the work that you've done before, and for sure you'll have a successful event.
Thank you, Bruno. So we already mentioned that this is a very competitive field, of course, and we have a large number of attendees, a large number of startup companies, a large number of industry companies. So it's really important to stand out. And Emmanuel, now from a scale-up and an international strategy, what do you think are keys to succeed in these events, since we have so many competitors looking for the same things that we are looking?
Thank you. Good afternoon. Visibility is key for everybody who's going to attend the event. And one of the main problems that we've seen in order to get that visibility, you talk about that, it's the preparation. Okay, for me, for a big event like this, you have 3 moments: the before, the during, and the after. So I'm not going to talk about the during and the after, otherwise it's going to take too much time. But you need to really plan everything you're going to do to ensure that you have that level of visibility that is going to make you stand out, because there's a lot of people, there's a lot of competition. If you want to find a partner, a client, or an investor, you need to plan ahead of time. And planning ahead of time, we're talking about at least 90 days before the event. And I'm not talking about the booth design, the presentations, but I'm talking about the marketing. You need to define exactly the goals that you want to have during this event. And from there, you need to really design a plan that helps you to get more meetings, more partners to come to your booth, to discuss with. And that you can activate a lot of things. All the communication channel that we have today, I mean, it's not enough just to say, oh, we're going to participate to this event. You need to do much more than that. You need to do the extra mile, as we say. It takes more time, but it's absolutely necessary if you want to get a great success from this event. The other thing that you need to think about, and we don't think about that enough, is also consolidating the relationship that we already have. We're always thinking about the new people that we're going to meet, but it's also a beautiful opportunity to consolidate these relationships that we have. And imagine if you have a dinner, and during this dinner you have your clients, your partners, and potential clients. Some magic is going to happen tonight. They're going to be your advocate, sorry. And this is what you need to plan ahead of time. If you do that, you will have great success.
Thank you, Emmanuel. And if I may add, we are just talking about it during lunch. Another thing that we need to really get done is the profile. We need to complete our profile very well and define our message, because this way we can really show what we are looking for and meet with the right partners before we get to the event. So I think the key message for this first round of questions and opinions is that preparation is key for this event. Moving on, I want to now set the stage to the Lisbon edition. And Claire, I would start with you. Based on other editions in other countries, what are EBD expectations for the Portuguese edition next year? And if you could share some examples of how this event could reshape or contribute to the local ecosystems.
Of course. Some examples. What we're hoping to, I might be glib, but I think what EBD is hoping to achieve for next year is, for when people think of Portugal, we want them to think of biotech as much as they do of pastel de nata. We want to put Portugal on the biotech map. that is what we aim to do with each edition of this event. And BioEurope Spring does have a history of going to cities and regions that the first time we go to them may not be the biggest center of biotech in Europe or in their country. The first time we went to Barcelona, which was 2011, Barcelona did not have much of a biotech space at that point in time. It has grown immensely. I would say a very similar thing about Milan, which is where we held BioEurope Spring again this year. Milan held the first edition of BioEurope Spring in 2007, and returning this year, the ecosystem was almost unrecognizable. This is something that we hope to contribute to the growth of the Portuguese biotech ecosystem. And if we are able to do that by bringing the rest of the international biotech community here, hopefully we will be able to provide a boost for collaboration internationally. That's another message that we've certainly been hearing in many of the panels. We are stronger working together, and that is something certainly that the model of this event is built on. In terms of examples of, I think Barcelona and Milan are probably two of the best ones I can give, but also in terms of collaborations that we've helped support over the years. It's always quite difficult to get people to feedback and say, oh, I met so-and-so at your event 5 years ago, and now we're doing a deal. By the time they get to that deal, usually they forget where they've met the person at the beginning anyway. However, I can only provide some anecdotal evidence. I've been with, as I said, with EBD since 2007. And through the years, I've had, every conference I have, at least 5 people come up to me and say, oh, I remember you from an event 5 years ago. I met my investor there. I met my current partner there. I do believe we've also had a couple of weddings come out of the events, completely unintentional, but it does happen. And I think the comments of it's not just the formal one-to-one meetings. You can run into the partner that you're going to do a deal with in the lineup for lunch, at the evening event on Tuesday, when you're in the registration line. In terms of preparation, come ready to talk. Talk about yourself and to ask other people questions about what they're doing. And you would be surprised at the number of connections and conversations that you're going to want to continue post-event.
Thank you, Claire. I think it was very clear that the expectations are high. And I also would like to hear from each of us, each of you. You know, of course, very well the Portuguese landscape, the Portuguese ecosystem. What do you think will be the impact in Portugal, both in short and long term? What are your expectations, since you know what we have and what we still need to achieve? João, we can start with you.
Yes, I think we hope that having a conference like this one in Europe can support our ecosystem to partner more, to put down some of the barriers that we have, either geographical or other type of barriers, understanding that it's partnering with others that we are more stronger, right? And I think that we as a small country, we would benefit a lot from joining forces on different areas, right? So I cannot say that we as a pharma company, that we have a lot of pharma companies doing research and development as we are, but others are doing, and we want also to partner with startups or even with academia, and hope that this event also helps to support more collaboration, understanding the needs for to ease the conversations around IP, to ease the conversation around potential market in the future. So it's an opportunity. Let's hope that we can have those people attending the conference as well.
I think we will. Emmanuel?
Okay. I don't know the Portuguese ecosystem long enough to have a point of view. What I know is that you have a lot of assets and you need to play on your strength. It's the city of Lisbon is beautiful, the people are very kind, and there's a culture. And if we want this event to be a success, it's for all of us to make the visitors in love with what is all around. And they will come back. We will create experience, we will create stories, they will tell their business partners, their colleagues about it. And I think if we can do that all at our level, we will have a great success for the future.
Thank you. Bruno?
Yeah, actually I'm very excited to have BioEurope in Portugal. One of the stories that goes with what Claire was saying was we were dealing with a pharma company from the US and we were starting to prepare a deal that we closed. And later on the development, they were saying, oh, okay, this is going pretty well. And they were showing a map of Europe of their collaborations. And Europe started from Switzerland to the top, okay? So it's not so long ago, so okay, probably 5 years. But that reminds me that we are not even on the map. So it's impossible to put a dot there because we're not even on the screen. And so I'm very happy that finally Europe goes until Portugal, and we hope that they understand, probably not as much as Pastel de Nata in the beginning, but they will get there. So I think we have what we need to get it. But I think it's very important to put Portugal on the map. And of course, the BioEurope meetings are very important, as I already mentioned. But having it here, I think will put some light on what we are doing in Portugal, and I think it's very important for us.
Yeah, so in the short term, I think, you know, if we can show to our international colleagues that we are getting stronger, that's a great, you know, end game, because, you know, we have been having a fantastic last 18 months. If we look, and Philippa talked about this in the morning, I'm going to repeat it, you know, in only 18 months, we got a company, CellMabs, doing a deal with a big pharma, BioNTech. We got a CRO, a biologics, Fair Journey, being valued at 1 billion. We got a new venture capital fund doing deals with the largest funds. We just got BIOMEET investing in Portugal for the first time. You know, so it's a really nice wave we are surfing. And so I think BioEurope is really, you know, coming at the right time, because now finally we have something to show. Right? If you had come 10 years ago, it would be not so exciting. So now it's more than promise. You know, we have hard numbers to back it up. So on the long term, I hope, you know, investors mainly come back to Portugal after the event and they really position this as a map. I hope next BioMeet, this will be full of international VCs. You know, if not, we have failed, because, you know, if we have all this effort and these guys don't come back, it means it was just a moment, and we want that. Don't want just a moment. We want them to stick around. And then an important piece we are missing is large pharma in Portugal. You know, so we have great pharma like BIAL, we have Ovion, we have Blue Pharma. That's great, but we still need large pharma to open research labs in Portugal. They mainly have commercial operations, but not research, and we need that. You know, for example, in the country next door, in Spain, AstraZeneca just opened a research center in Barcelona for 2,000 scientists. You know, we have not that here. We need that, because that's a key factor in the ecosystem, because then the researchers from academia have finally a place to work in industry, in global industry, and then they can do spin-outs. You know, it's the whole ecosystem changes when we have global pharma here. So that's my big dream, is that we can convince one pharma company at last to open research facilities in Portugal. Let's see. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Portugal will be on the spotlight, so that's why it's so important we show a unified force from academia, to industry, to investors, to startups, because as mentioned in here multiple times, collaboration is key. And I think this is a great opportunity for us to show up as a country and show that we have value. And these companies, like Ricardo mentioned, big companies, investors, should look at Portugal with a different eyes and invest in us. So before we wrap up, I would like to give the opportunity to the audience to raise some questions. I don't know if we have in the audience questions for our panelists.
Hi, thank you very much for the panel. Following up a little bit on what Bárbara was saying. By the way, again, congratulations to João, Bárbara, and Felipe for this feat. It's really amazing that BioSpring is coming here. Claire, a question for you. We're talking about how we should do great in this event, in this initiative now in March. What can we do to make sure that we'll have a second BioSpring in Portugal? What can we do in the long run to make sure it comes back?
Yeah, it's great to be talking about the second edition before the first has happened, but you know, nothing like forward planning. Show up at this one, do your homework, yes, and take advantage of every opportunity to showcase yourself. I will say, we really only consider an event a success if the location that it happens in, the region, and the companies that are there have a successful event themselves. And that will go, especially, I think, for next year. I don't think I can overstate how excited we are to come to Lisbon. And especially being here and seeing the innovation that's happening in Portugal is very exciting. And I think it will be a surprise for most of the people who come to BioEurope Spring next year. That doesn't happen very often. I think it's going to be nice to make a big splash about this. So I would encourage all of you to do so as well. As I said, do your homework, prepare for the meeting beforehand, and take advantage of every opportunity that we will attempt to orchestrate, as well as those that absolutely happen by coincidence and serendipity. Take advantage of all of them. I think in terms of, is there something specific you can do to bring the conference back? Continue with the level of engagement that we're experiencing now. That is probably the biggest thing that will draw us back again for edition 2 in Lisbon.
Any more questions? Okay, if not, I think we can continue the discussion. Bruno, for you, and since we mentioned successful edition, for you, what makes BioEurope successful?
In this case, as in other BioEuropes, are the partnerships, the funding, depending on what is our focus, because it depends. And that's one of the interesting things about BioEurope. If I'm focused on funding, I can come to BioEurope. If I'm focused on partnerships, I can come to BioEurope. There's a lot of different things that we can do at BioEurope. So we are preparing and defining our focus. But I would say this edition should be different somehow for IMMUNETHEP. So as we are having it in Portugal, I think we will have an extra effort in order to give greater visibility to the work that we are doing and take advantage of that. So we are from Portugal, you are here, so you have to listen to us. So and in our case, we will try to look for that extra visibility from the other partners outside of our traditional context that we used to do.
Okay, thank you. João, for BIAL, what are the challenges when attending this event? Because I think it may be difficult, for instance, to select from all the attendees the ones that are most interesting for you. So how do you do that work?
Well, it depends on the need of each year, right? And it depends on the preparation that we are doing, right? So we have different layers of needs. One which is relatively public. We need new products to launch to feed into our pipeline. So we organically are not able to do it by ourselves, like the majority of large pharmas. We need to go outside and to find good projects to join and that we can incorporate into our portfolio. So for us, being a company of a small size like we are on the pharma world, success is to find the perfect project at the right timing with the risk that we can afford, right? So that's the success. We are competing with big companies, and of course, if we want to pay less, we will need to take more risk on the projects, but that's the name of the game. And for us, we are really active on both directions to find external innovation that can fit into our pipeline, but as well to de-risk our projects, also to partner with our early projects. And so I would say on both ends, if we find opportunities also to share or to partner in our co-development of some of our early assets, that will be also a good success on the BioEurope and also outside BioEurope.
Okay, thank you. Now, Ricardo, I don't know if you can share or not, but if possible, can you share an history, an example of a startup that you met during Bio?
I don't have a success story I can remember.
Yet.
You know, this is continued
Yet.
long-term business, right? It's not, you know, I'm sure, as Claire was saying, there are some, you know, nice success stories that happen on the moment. But this is about long-term relationships, right, in this business. You know, deals take months, if not years, to happen. Partnerships with pharma take a long time. Even for us, you know, we start looking at companies, and it can be 1-2 years before we invest in a company. So basically, it's just another data point for us in that trajectory. So it's, you know, it's business as usual, continuing relationships with companies, with investors, and for companies the same. As I was saying, the goal is not to walk out with a check. The goal is to walk out with a meeting with the investor, you know, so that's what you want, or with a pharma partner. So, yeah, so that's the, you know, so hopefully the ecosystem will really transform and investors will stick and they'll come back. And I think that's, you know, a good measure of success if we can bring these people back. So this is not just a moment in time of biotech in Portugal. This is just, it's really an inflection point. That's what we hope. So let's work for it.
Thank you. As Emmanuel mentioned, it's important the before, during, and the after as well. So to keep these connections ongoing and make sure these relationships stand. So Emmanuel, what are your objectives for the next edition?
Well, we are a service provider to the biotech. So we need to be laser sharp in who we want to meet. So the selection process needs to be extremely well done. And it's really showing that we are here, showing that we can help, and not just listing some services that we can provide, but showing the quality of the people within the company, because we do business with people within a company. And I think that this is what we want to do, showing what we can do to help, understanding the problems, solving them, and make friends.
Yeah, because I imagine for service providers, sometimes it's not as easy as for other types of businesses to schedule meetings, for instance, right? Because everyone wants to meet with investors, with big companies, but not all wants to meet with services providers. So you have a tougher job on this. So I think we can wrap up this session with key takeaways. So BioEurope Spring will be held in Lisbon next year in March from 23 to 25. As we mentioned, is an opportunity to strengthen our ecosystem, is an opportunity to showcase what we have been done in Portugal in the last few years, what are the opportunities that we have in here. So let's take this memento. If everyone has some questions about BioEurope, please reach out to me, Filipa, Joana, or Delfina, because we are here supporting EBD in making the best of this edition. And I also would like to thank all the panelists and also the companies that are supporting this organization, because without you, with no doubt, this would be much more harder. So thank you so much, and let's make the best of it. Thank you.